The time is just gone 8:33 a.m. as we continue with the broadcast this morning. Now, this is phenomenal, really. It's actually heartwarming when we hear stories like this, and we are talking about Gaza. We're talking about the Gaza Strip, which is termed as the world's largest open air prison, cut off, sealed off from the rest of the entire world. Life is abnormal in more ways than one. If we think we have challenges, if we think we have problems with water, if we think we have problems with electricity, if we think our children are having problems in school, just for one moment sit and think of what that child in Gaza goes through, apart from just being cut off, the brutality, the oppression, the orphans in Gaza. And these are the challenges that Gazans face on a day to day basis, 24/7, 365 days of the year. And amongst all this abnormal situations that they find themselves in, they still have time to educate themselves. And not only educate themselves, but educate themselves with distinction. And this is what we are talking about. A report that coming out of Gaza, 120 pupils were recognized for achieving above 99% on their school finals. And to be exact, the grade average was 99.4%. And this is something to be proud of. This is something to applaud the people of Gaza and particularly these learners. And this is the reason why we are talking with Gaza-based activist, author, and mother. We are talking with Rana Shubair. Rana, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Juma
Walaikum
Mubarak to
salam.
you and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's just heartwarming to
Mm.
see, to read stories about the children of Gaza. And I mentioned a totally abnormal situation for them, the type of life that they lead, a life where they live under severe pressure, under severe stress all the time, and to be able to achieve what they have achieved. Clearly, it is wonderful, and it is something to be proud of, Rana.
Yes, actually, I'm very happy to be joining you today on a happy occasion. I'm usually interviewed by media during times of aggression and war, so it's really good to be talking about some positive things happening on the ground here. So yes, the secondary school results, the finals, are a very euphoric time for everyone here. They love to celebrate. They anticipate this day the whole year. And on this day, you will see. I mean, just yesterday, fireworks, people buying large platters of sweets and visitations. So yes, I think it's a very heartwarming moment for us all here to see all these young people, despite all the hardships that they went through for a whole year, achieve success and with I mean, very high grade averages. So yes, it's a very happy time for us here.
Well, I'm just looking at the images that are appearing on my screen right now as we are talking, Rana. And we know that Palestinians, are very, very passionate about their children, about educating their children. And, let's perhaps just spend a minute or two just talking about, the circumstances under which they obviously educate themselves. But more importantly, I want to talk about this passion for education in Palestine, both, from a parental perspective, but also looking at it from the learner, from the student, from the child.
I'm sorry, I didn't just. There's one word I didn't hear. You're looking at what? The
Yes, I'm saying, the passion that
yes,
Palestinians have for education. If you'd like to just expand on that.
yeah. Actually, Palestine has a very high literacy rate. Nearly 97% of the people are literate, and uh, as long as I've lived here, I've known, people, old, young, everybody values and cherishes education here. They're very passionate about their children finishing school and then pursuing higher education, and also pursuing masters and PhDs. And they go to extremes to do that. They will travel, they apply to scholarships. Some even poor families, if they can't afford, they try by whatever means they have to give the chance for their children to finish their education, because they know that education is the key to success. And living under siege for people in Gaza, for example, there are many, and there's a high rate of unemployment. So there's lots of competition out there for graduates to get to get out to land a good job. So they know how important it is for them to educate their children, and it's really, people here are very zealous actually about this issue in particular. That's why like yesterday when they issued the results, people were just, the students, their parents, everybody was very exhilarated. And this year, actually, my own children finished their high school, and we got the results yesterday. So it was a very, really happy moment for us.
Well, it certainly is, and now, in fact, I'm just looking at the some of the other images that have come through in celebratory mode, and rightly so.
Mhm.
It is a time to celebrate, but also, looking at these students standing, and I'm looking at one image holding up the Palestinian flag so
Yes.
proudly as well. This is very, very heartwarming to see images like this, particularly coming out of Gaza, but also when one looks at the number of young girls, that have achieved this wonderful result, and passing with distinction as well. And just looking at the number of women that, educate themselves in Palestine, I'm sure that alone tells a story of its own, Rana.
Maybe 20 years ago, the males outnumbered the females in higher education, and many girls got married young. But this has changed drastically in the past 2 3 decades. Families are keen to educate their daughters as well as their sons, because they know that they want them to find a job after they graduate. So I can say that they're almost equal in this. There's no discrimination against women in this regard. When you go also into like public jobs, you will find males and females working alongside each other. Women have equal opportunities as men here when it comes to education and jobs. Yes. And I'm sorry, maybe I didn't answer your last question about the circumstances that the students have had to go through. If you'd like me to elaborate on that.
Yes, please go ahead, Rana.
Yes, so like during the past year alone, if I'm talking about Gaza Strip, in May 9th, Israel decided to attack an apartment building here in Gaza in the middle of the night, and it started a so-called military operation against people here, against so-called, as it allegedly announced, Islamic Jihad members. But it killed civilians, hundreds, tens of civilians along the way. Like at the end of the 3 day escalation, there was almost 40 something civilians killed. And my own children had to go through this, and along with all these other children who were actually at that time studying for their exams, who were upcoming in June. And like when I told my daughter during the attack, I tried to to distract them a bit, and I told them, maybe if you study, you'll get your mind off things. And they told me, one of my girls said to me, if we survive to take the exams. So it was a very grim time. And when you look into what happened in Jenin also, the recurring invasions and the killings, and in East Jerusalem. It's not like a peaceful year. They don't I mean, they have to study and live under extraordinary circumstances, and they're expected to study and get high grades. It's, I mean, I don't think these challenges are faced by any other children around the world. So yes, I mean, alongside, of course, the electricity cuts, the blockade for us in Gaza, the water contamination, the poor education system, and how the siege impacts every aspect of their lives. It's the unpredictability of the Israeli attacks on Gaza.
Well, definitely, and that's why I say it's under an a totally abnormal situation to be able to achieve this alone is phenomenal. But also at the same time, I suppose many of these learners, many of these students, throughout the year, it's stressful moments with the incursions that is taking place, with the brutality, with the bombings that take place on a regular basis. But also knowing that they've lost a number of their colleagues because we've learned of a number of children that have been killed as a result of all these incursions that have been taking place by the Zionist entity. So with all of that, I'm sure that many of them at the back of their mind think of those who have actually lost their lives, their colleagues who could possibly have been there with them on this day to celebrate these successes and achievements.
Yes, and that's a very traumatic experience for these young people. I mean, in Jenin alone, I think around 6 young men were killed during the last invasion, and they announced the results yesterday that they had passed. They had taken their exams, but they were killed in the attack. Also, I mean, in Gaza, the May 9th attack, there when the Israelis attacked the apartment building, they killed a doctor along with his wife and his elder son, and four of his children survived, and one of them was a high school student, and she took her exams um, in June. So I really can't begin to imagine what she had to go through, how she even studied, how she took the exams, because knowing that she lost her home, she lost her parents and a brother. And many families were torn apart during that attack and other attacks, whereby, like, the father would just survive, the children would die, the mother and father would die, children survive. So I don't think there are really no words to describe the amount of trauma that our children have to bear, and they don't have time to heal. It's attack upon attack, and because Israel decides to pound Gaza Strip or Jenin or wherever whenever it wishes, so they don't have time to heal themselves. But despite all of this, we're very proud of their achievements.
Well, certainly, and we must say congratulations once again and say Mabruk. And one thing that is encouraging to note is, although the world media will not cover the success of these students, but what is encouraging to note is these are the future leaders of
Yes.
Palestine. And through this education, through their achievements, they are the ones that are going to be at the forefront for the struggle, for the liberation of Palestine. And, we continue supporting them. We continue making dua for them. We continue wishing them well to see them rise to greater heights. And the ultimate achievement, obviously, would be to see a free Palestine and for these young people to take this country forward, to make sure that the country prospers, to make sure that the struggles of well over 70 years of the Palestinian people, inshallah, at some point in time will come to an end where they can go and they can lead a normal life, but also in terms of what they've achieved at this level, inshallah, to raise it and also to take it to another level, to raise it to greater heights, inshallah. And that is our dua for them and for the people of Palestine, Rana Shubair.
Thank you.
And yes, and we also want to say thank you, and we want to express our appreciation to you for taking time out and sharing this wonderful moment with us right here on Salam Media in the company of our listeners and viewers. All the best to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rana Shubair with us this morning, and we're going to go for a break. We come back, we'll be joined by Ayub Dadabai.